They're like standing there like right in front of her. If they're identical, wouldn't they look almost the same?
Well, they're calling them casualties. She's like, the first casualty I went to. Okay, well, bitch is gonna rise from the dead if you think she's dead while you're sitting with her. So at like 5:50.
Yeah, if you go like if you go to 3 minutes, she goes, I know you're not real. The one laying on the ground. Around like 5:30 is when the other woman starts getting up and starts freaking out.
That's where the punch comes in?
No, the punch is around like 5:50-ish. Falcon punch! Fucking A!
I think she was trying to see what her sister. She's like, if my sister's dead, I need to make sure I'm dead too.
Yeah, so anyways, that's the video of what happened to the twins.
She's crazy.
It took a lot of them to restrain her.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It took a lot of people. That.
All right, so that's the video of them running out in the traffic. Now, that isn't the end of the story though, because it gets stranger. So, of course, the twins get taken to the hospital. Ursula, who's the one who got hit by the semi, who had broken legs, she's admitted and is in pretty bad shape. However, Sabina wasn't injured at all. At the hospital, she seemed to become calm and relaxed, and after 5 hours in the hospital, she was released to police custody. Now, while in police custody, Sabina was still relaxed and calm. She did plead guilty to charges of trespassing on a motorway and hitting a police officer. Court, however, sentenced her to only 1 day in custody. So after her single day in custody, on May 17th, 2008, Sabina was released by the authorities. Shortly after being released, she began to walk down the street where she encountered 2 men walking a dog. Glenn Hollinshead, who was a 54-year-old paramedic, and his friend Peter, who was visiting Glenn at the time. Sabina asked them, hey, where would be a good place for me to find a bed and breakfast? After chatting a bit, Glenn invited Sabina over to his house for the evening to hang out with him and have a few drinks with him and Peter. She said, oh, yeah, sure. So at Glenn's house, Sabina started to become more and more bizarre as time went on. For an example, she was often looking out the window, kind of in like a paranoid state. She even offered Glenn and Peter cigarettes, and when they had them in their mouth and was about to light them up, she quickly snatched them away from their mouths and said that they could have been poisoned. At this point, Peter was like, fuck this. I ain't dealing with this crazy lady. I'm here to visit you, Glenn. I'm leaving. And he left Glenn's house. So the next morning, Glenn walked to his neighbor's house to ask for a couple tea bags since he was out. And he got some, and as Glenn walked back into his home with the tea bags, Sabina, in a fit of unexplained rage, had a knife and stabbed Glenn 5 times, in which, of course, he died. And it gets weirder. So after Sabina murdered Glenn, I don't know why I'm laughing, because of what happens next. After she murdered Glenn, she grabbed a hammer from his house and fled the scene. As she was running away from the house, she was hitting herself in the head with the hammer while running down the street. So a passing motorist named Josh saw this and decided to stop and help Sabina. He tackled her to get the hammer out of her hands, in which she pulled out of her pocket a piece of roof tile and hit him over the head with it. And he was like, what the fuck? And let her go, and she fled the scene on foot. It's like a WWE thing, man. So, the police and paramedics were close by and saw this unfold and started chasing Sabina, right? Sabina came to a bridge and decided to jump off of it, which was a 40-foot bridge. And she landed onto the A50 motorway. Suffered numerous injuries, including breaking both ankles and fracturing her skull, and was taken to the hospital. On September 11th, 2008, Sabina was charged with the murder of Glenn Hollingshead. Her trial began a year later on September 1st, 2009, and she pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Sabina never explained her actions and why she did what she did, and only responded to questions with no comment. her now she did have a defense team that argued that she suffered a shared psychosis with her twin sister Ursula, causing her to have intense delusions during her crimes. The judge determined that she had a low culpability for her crimes due to her diminished state and was sentenced to only 5 years in prison, but was released on parole in 2011, and her whereabouts are currently unknown. Ursula, of course, went back to the United States after the incident and is like going to church retreats and shit like that, but Sabina's out on the loose. So, that's the Erickson twins.
Oh my
Well.
god. You did such a good job telling that story.
Thank you.
What if they were not human?
MK Ultra.
And they were like, I know you're not real. What I do to this body isn't real. And so they were testing. I mean, how many times can you throw yourself in front of a vehicle? She jumped off of a 40-foot bridge and didn't die.
She was hitting herself in the head with a hammer.
It's like if you truly believe that you are like immortal or something, then maybe you really do become some sort of immortal. They were in this delusional state in our minds, but they were maybe coming to, maybe they were becoming awake. And they were like, this is all fake. This is a simulation. I know none of you are real. I'm gonna show myself, I'm proving to my own self that this is not real by running in front of this car right now, this semi. And they were just testing the limits of the human body, the simulation body.
I don't know. Maybe it was some MK Ultra type thing. They were experimented on by aliens. They were like, hey, watch this shit. We're gonna make two twins go crazy. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be on pay-per-view for 4 Galaxy coins. Oh, you guys can tune in.
Well, do you think it's strange that they were twins? Like if they were created in an alien lab, let's say, and they cloned each other to have more consistent results on their experiment, because obviously I'm freeballing here, but they were like, all right, let's put the remote control in these girls, and Dan, you gave your player 1, and you're like, okay, I'm going. Aaron, you're slower. You're player 2. If you notice, the chick's just like looking around, waiting for her commands.
Oh, we're playing GTA 5 right now.
And then you're like, go!
Oh shit,
Like
I'm
some
down.
Frogger. It's Frogger, but with humans. But they failed. They weren't good at the game.
We failed. Well, I don't know. Ursula looked like she actually made it all the way across, but then she got caught and pulled back over there.
It's true. What are you researching, Aaron? You're doing the look of study.
I was just reading this theory this guy had.
I feel like they were possessed. Not at the same time, but Sabina was possessed first. And then as soon as afterwards she got hit, the demon jumped over into Ursula because they're twins. Probably spiritual power or whatever is the same. And the reason why they were acting so weird was because this demon was following them. And with all those police officers there, they might have felt safe and they let down their guard. And that's when the demon took over, made Sabina run out first. And then it's like, all right, she's out. Let's switch to the next one to take Ursula out there. Because, I mean, just to be able to run around, fucking hammer on the head, just going along, just like, yeah, this is normal. Like, come on.
And then overpower a man, smack him with a roof tile, and then still take off.
Yeah, so I came across this thing, this paragraph that said Ursula is back in the United States and is a member of the Sacred Heart Church. According to the church's website, in April of 2011, Ursula received the RCIA, Rites of Scrutiny prayer over her as she opens herself to be illuminated and healed by Christ and delivered from emptiness, illusions, and death-prone effects of evil. Possessed. Dan, out here
No
solving
shit.
it.
Because it's like they just started acting really weird, holding on to their luggage and stuff. It's like something was following them. It sounded like to me. Could have been a person, but to be able to, oh man, I could never imagine just standing there and then like, you know what, I'm just gonna run out in traffic. And see like my sister doing it, I'm like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna run out in traffic too.
Is almost crazy as it sounds, but that it sounds plausible, right? Because the twins, they both call each other and like, hey, something strange is happening with me. I fear for my kids, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you head over here and we can try to work this out? So the sister heads over from the United States, meets up with her, and she's like, we got to go to the police station and we got to flee in try to get this away from my kids. So they jump in a ferry, tell the police station, hey, I'm afraid for my kids, to try to protect them. They start making their way to wherever, but on their way, these spirits or possession of whatever it is takes over during certain times and tries to stop them from where they're going. I don't know. Just a hypothesis.
They're both part of churches now? Is that what?
The Sabine is still
Sabine's
missing.
So one of them's church. She's safe. The other one's probably still possessed. Probably out there doing these unsolved murders.
She's gonna visit you tonight, Dan.
Oh, come on in. I'll have the truck ready to go. You can flip over my truck. If that doesn't work, I'll hit you with the car.
Get the lawnmower out.
Third one's the charm, right?
She's gonna be like Michael Myers coming at you.
Oh, shit.
Oh man. Anyways, that's my Theories Thursday. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
Yeah, it was really good. I'm so glad that you figured it, like that came to you, because like I told you, my other topic was going to be about twins as well, and then I switched gears last minute. But I was sitting there as I was learning about these twins that I'm not going to tell about just because I think I'm going to use them for our next Theories Thursday. Or one of them. I was like, man, I remember listening to a podcast about these crazy motherfucking twins in a highway, and I was like, wait, what is this? And I was like, I'll look into it later. And then as soon as you started saying yours, Aaron, you're like, I got video. I was like, does it involve a highway? And
Yep. I was like, damn, she knows what it is.
All Aaron told me was about some bizarre twins, and he's just like, that's all I'm saying. It's like, all right. So I have no idea what to expect. That was way more than I expected. The fact that there was still more after the whole fucking highway.
it's true. And I had forgotten some of it, so it was a nice refresher for me as well. But I'm glad that you told it, because you did a much better job than I would. You gave that story justice, sir.
And the moral of the story, do not invite a woman in and then go get tea.
Don't leave her alone in your house.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys got anything else to add before we roll out today's episode?
I actually want to do a shout out, but he is a Patreon member, so figure just give him a quick shout out to King T on Discord, which on it I believe he will be messaging you. Like he's like newly to the Discord, but he has some interesting pictures. I think that you'd be interested in them of the sky.
Oh, I like Scott.
Yeah. But I told him I'd give him a shout out.
Nice.
Haven't forgotten about you, man.
Well, I got one, sorry. So, do you guys remember back when we did the 9/11 episode, we had a guy called Dude Tay Tay email us about how there was supposed to be a hurricane on that day, and it never happened?
Yeah.
Well, and he was saying, like, what if in another reality that did happen? Well, he sent me another email just today, and he sent me this picture. I'm gonna send it to you right now. He touched base on who he was, which I already knew, but he said, please look at the image that I have attached to the email. It is an image from the facade at St. John, the Divine Cathedral in New York City. It shows the towers being swept away by a tidal wave.
Damn, it does.
And even like it all looks like it's being shifted by the water. And I'm like, man, that's a good catch. I really liked that. And so I wanted to share it with you guys. And I did forward you an email from Chris Jones. I don't know if you saw that.
Who?
Chris Jones.
Who?
Chris Jones!
When was that cathedral built?
I don't know. I didn't look at that. I got it while I was hanging out with you guys here tonight. So
Oh.
I didn't dig into it yet. But the email I think you guys should check into from Chris Jones. You know how we talked about the Coral Castle in the Anunnaki episode where the cones were used to possibly move the pieces for the guy's wife that was from the Coral Castle from Florida, blah, blah, blah. So this guy said that his friend and him once spent 20 years or so ago, decided to get to the bottom of it while they were stoned out their mind. Best time to do some research, I say. So what he could remember they came up with was that the castle was able to be built because of its location. It was originally built in Florida City and was sometime after moved to Homestead. Their theory is that it was built in one of the points of the tetrahedral world grid, the same as many other wonders such as the Great Pyramids. At the points, it was possible to manipulate gravity and the Earth's magnetic pull. So when you line up the grid points, they would line up almost perfectly with all the ancient pyramids. When I say almost, that's because our theory is that it started moving. Thus, the reason Ed having to move his castle from Florida City to Homestead to finish it. He said, why did they start moving? We're not completely sure. We think that it had something to do with today's technology throwing off the balance. And then he attached some pictures at the bottom of this email that are similar to the ones they found back when they had done their research 20 years ago. And he said that he hopes that we have a great day and he's looking forward to hearing more episodes. And the images are pretty cool. Like, just to see them alone, they're like overwhelming for me to see. Once I start seeing shapes, I get a little overwhelmed, like geometric stuff. But there's smart people out there that'll get that. And I appreciate him writing that in because that's pretty cool. I would have never ever put those together. So I think that could be a nice rabbit hole to go down as well to learn more about.
Definitely seems really interesting looking at the images.
Yeah, thank you for that, Chris Jones.
Chris Jones. Yeah, we appreciate you, friend. So thank you for that. Yeah, other than that, I guess I just I'll give a shout out to my girl Casey. You're awesome. I appreciate your conversation. And I love that you put noodles in your chili because that is the way to do it. I don't care if people call it goulash or whatever they want to call it. Noodles go in chili. Point blank, I ain't arguing with you. That's the only way to eat chili. Packers suck, and the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. You see that? 9-0, get it right. Bye-bye, bitches.
There's only two things that go in chili. Bunched up crackers and cheese. Maybe some hot sauce.
And butter and hot sauce.
Yeah. But fucking noodles, you take that weird shit out of here.
No.
Yeah, you take that weird shit, take it on
Hell
somewhere
no.
else.
I'm Asian and I eat some weird shit, but I will not put noodles in fucking chili.
You missing out. That's an
That ain't chili.
experience.
Oh, dude, I entered a chili contest one time. Story time with Aaron. I entered a chili contest one time, right? So it was my son's chili contest. And I said, we're winning this motherfucker. You know how we're going to go get some prime brisket? I'm going to smoke the shit out of it. I'm going to chop it up into little bitty pieces. And I'm going to put that smoked brisket in the chili. And it's going to win it. Smoked chili.
Okay.
So I take it up there and I'm confident. I'm ready to fucking go. I got a rock hard boner walking into that fucking school, slap my dick so along the walls. I'm like, Luke, stand back.
All right, Biden.
We're
calm
winning
down.
this best chili award. All right. So we go in there. Come to find out, the fucking kids vote. And I'm like, wait, you got second and third graders voting on chili. I should have just made a bland ass chili.
Should have.
Because this smoked chili is going to be too much for them. Of course it was. We got second place. Fuck you, Hector, with your bland ass chili. He goes, I just went to Walmart and got me a little packet and made chili because I knew kids were going to be voting for him. You know what? Fuck you, give me your ribbon, bitch. No, I didn't say that. But I was
He
thinking
didn't
it.
put his heart and soul in the chili.
No, but my chili was good. Anyways, that's Aaron's story time.
I like that.
Thank you. Well, that's the end of the show today. I want to thank you all for joining us, and thank you for being here and supporting us. It means a lot to all of us. Seriously, joking aside and everything, it does mean a lot to all of us.
It does.
Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for your support. It's great to be able to share something like this with everyone. So I really do truly appreciate it.
I definitely will second that. And remember, if we do go under a mandatory lockdown for Corona for 4 to 6 weeks, like some people are thinking is happening, we'll still be here. We will continue to fill your ear holes with knowledge nuggets. Because ain't nobody stopping us.
And we'll be bringing you bonus episodes.
Fuck yeah, we're gonna
too.
have time,
Bringing
bitches.
Bonus episodes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fiesta. So if you're thinking, fuck man, I gotta go on a lockdown, it's gonna be so bad. No, it's not. Just give us a ringy ding ding, and we're gonna play party up in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyways,
y'all quake.
I love you. All right, y'all wanna roll us out?
Sure. It's okay to be out of this world with your thoughts.
Because you're not alone.
Boom.
Hell yeah.
Welcome to two theories
of the third kind.
Welcome. First off, I want to say thank you to whomever you are listening for opening your minds to receive extra knowledge nuggets each week. It means a lot to all of us, and I want you to know that.
Also, before we start, since whomever you are a Patreon subscriber, remember that you get priority in topic suggestions. So feel free to shoot those over through our email, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook DM.
So today's episode is the 1985 Philadelphia bombing. Now, have either of you heard about this bombing before we started the research on it?
No.
I did, because when we went over Waco,
Okay.
we talked about this for a half a second. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, other than that,
I came across this, I don't know, a few months ago, I want to say. Wasn't really familiar about it, and I'm surprised not many people talk about this.
no, it's really not talked about at all.
So that is why we're digging into it today, and man, a lot of surprising things in this. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So at dawn on May 13th, 1985, the Pennsylvania State Police had a standoff with a group called MOVE, located on the west side of Philadelphia. After tear gas, smoke grenades, and water cannons didn't work, they decided to try something more. The decision, 12 hours later, was to drop a makeshift bomb from a helicopter onto the roof of their house. This bombing started a fire that killed 11 people, including 5 children, and incinerating up to 61 homes, leaving a total of 250 people homeless. So to get a better understanding about all of this, we first have to start off with the group MOVE and learn what they're all about. So Anna, can you tell us a little bit about MOVE?
For sure. So the MOVE organization is a revolutionary organization founded in Philadelphia in 1972 by a black man named John Africa. All the members lived in a house together along with the creator, John Africa, in the Powelton Village section of West Philadelphia. The group's name MOVE is not an acronym. John Africa chose this name to say what they intended to do. Members intend to be active because they say, quote, everything that's alive moves. If it didn't, it would be stagnant, dead.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
makes sense, yeah. Unless you're a zombie.
They even say that about when you get older. Once you stop moving, when you get into your 70s and stuff, that's when you start dying. You gotta keep moving.
Well, I don't know about that. My great-grandmother lived to be 94, and this was her daily routine. I'm gonna step away from this real quick, okay? She would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, get out of bed, go downstairs, eat breakfast, shower, get dressed, watch watch Price is Right, and then go sit out on her porch and watch the squirrels. And she did this until dinner time. Would eat dinner, take a shot of whiskey, go upstairs and go to bed every single day. And she's
living life.
She was like a wooden Indian statue sitting up there on the porch. You could drive by and she would not, she was zoned out in her own world for 12 plus hours. So I don't know if she was in, you know what? Now that I think about it, she might have been in deep meditation.
I was waiting for you to stop talking, dude. I was like, she's out there connecting with nature on an ultimate level. She's just checking out the squirrels, getting lost in her thoughts, probably preparing for the transition into her next life. I mean,
yeah, the only reason she passed away wasn't because of old age. It's because she tripped on the covers getting out of bed and smacked her head on the floor and passed away. Rest in peace, Granny.
Damn.
Great Granny. But, yeah, she was good at cards. And she always kept frozen Reese peanut butter cups in the freezer.
that's the way to do it.
That's a little Patreon exclusive story for you guys.
She's my type of grandma.
Pour one out for Granny.
I like.
Pour it out for you, Granny.
Oh no, I'm not
Get
kidding. No, squirrels. Squirrels are awesome.
I clean this house and she has albino squirrels that live in her backyard.
Jealous.
Ooh, I would catch them and breed them and then sell exotic albino squirrels.
You know who'd be crazy enough to buy him?
I think that would really mess up her juju. She's all about that Reiki,
Oh,
So-
okay.
She's not gonna take a beautiful squirrel out of its environment to breed it for money, you selfish person.
No, my bad. God damn it. I'm running an underground squirrel
I'll
breeding
be self-pushing and still buy it.
organization.
You know how much those albino ones get me?
That's a lot of nuts.
So when the members of the group greet each other, they say, "On the move."
On the move. I mean, that's pretty good, I guess.
On the move.
You know, to greet each other if you were in the group. On the move.
Yeah.
On the move, brother.
Just walking on the move.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad. No.
So Move did have some guidelines to follow when being a part of their group. Pretty much everything about how they should live their lives. We're gonna go over a couple highlights of them. All members of Move took the last name Africa, which signified that they were all members of the same family. They opposed technology and didn't use machines, electricity, heat, or soap. Their diet would consist of almost exclusively fruit, vegetables, and nuts. Children would be raised on raw meat. Children were not sent to public schools, but were instead taught based on the guideline. They would at all times be kind to all animals, including birds, bugs, and rats. And just so you guys know, there was consistently more than 50 or 60 dogs living with people in Move.
That's a lot of dogs.
That's a ton of dogs.
That's a lot
of
of
dog shit. Yes.
Yeah.
That
Jesus.
is a lot of shit. Which a lot of shit comes into play later on.
Yeah, it does.
Children would wear as little clothing as possible so their skin could not be tainted.
You know, I don't judge others, but when I was watching a documentary about this Move group, there was one part where they went and interviewed some of the Move members, and they had like a whole bunch of the kids playing, and they were just pretty like butt-ass naked, and I felt very uncomfortable watching that part. And I was like, all right, fast forward, you know?
Yep.
So, anyways.
So Move had a belief of returning humankind to a hunter-gatherer type society, and they opposed science, medicine, and technology. The Move group also identified as deeply religious and advocated for life. Move members believed that as all living beings are dependent, their lives should be treated as equally important. They advocate for justice that is not always based within institutions. Move members believe that for something to be just, it must be just for all living creatures, that all life is important on all levels, without exception. Move members believe that the system that they were living under at the time doesn't care about life. Whether it's the air, the water, the soil that feeds, nothing. Because of this, Move members would often hold protests to get their views and voices heard. They would stage demonstrations at puppy mills, zoos, circuses, at anyone that was holding speeches that had views that they opposed. They also held protests at 3 Mile Island and at other industrial pollution contributors. They often protested against police brutality, where they would use bullhorns. Because of this, many of Move's activities were scrutinized by law enforcement authorities, particularly under the administration of Mayor Frank Rizzo, a former police commissioner known for his hard line against activist groups.
Yeah, they were very vocal in their demonstrations, which we'll get into later on, but I watched a video clip and I was like, ooh. You know, a lot of their beliefs, I mean, all lives are sacred, right? Everything, down to an ant, to a bug. I can get on that train. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's very Buddhist of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah. The only thing though is like they don't use technology, but they're using bullhorns.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I don't know.
I'm guessing, I guess that's a simple technology.
It's a vessel for their message. So it amplifies the message that they're trying to preach. They're not looking at it as a distraction from the world that they're living in, I'm gonna guess.
No, that's a good point right there.
Yep. So now that we know a little bit about, the group Move and what they're about, let's move into what led up to and what happened on May 13th, 1985. Now, there's 3 different encounters, right? The third one being on May 13th, 1985, but there's 2 others that we're going to talk about first before that one. So the first encounter was on March 28th, 1976 at around 4 a.m. Some of the MOVE members had just got out of jail and were returning to their house that they were all living in together. So at 4 a.m., when they pulled up and all started getting out of their vehicles, the MOVE members that were inside of the house came outside and started greeting the members, and they started celebrating right there in the street. MOVE said that they weren't making a lot of noise, but someone in the neighborhood said that they were and called the police and complained. The police showed up and an argument ensued between the police and the MOVE members. Police then called for reinforcements and then decided to raid the home of MOVE members. During the raid, 6 police officers reported injuries, 6 members of MOVE were arrested, and a 3-week-old baby named Life Africa was dead. An investigation as to what happened during that raid never took place. So this is like a very important part of their first encounter with the police, because somehow during that raid, that baby ended up dying. And we're going to go back to that during the strange facts and findings, because there's individuals who talk about that moment. But that's just the first encounter, to kind of give you a taste of what was going on with the MOVE members and the police in the area. All right, so on the second encounter, that was a year later in 1977. MOVE members were all living together, like we said previously, but this time they were at a Powelton Village house at 311 North 33rd Street. And they were receiving a lot of complaints by their neighbors. And, well, what were their neighbors complaining about that day? Well, a lot of the MOVE members were outside of their home holding up their guns and saying, "No longer will we be beaten or intimidated by the police without a like response." I actually seen a video clip of this, and there was a lot of them outside of their home, but not only on the outside of their home, but like on the roof of their home and on the streets, and they were walking around with shotguns and SKSs and a whole bunch of different weapons, kind of like they were showing intimidation to the police. And then of course it prompted the neighbors to call the police. Not only did they call the police, but this also caught the attention of that Mayor Frank Rizzo, and he said, "Look, you guys as in the police, y'all need to take action." So the police obtained a court order demanding MOVE members to vacate the home and surrender their weapons. MOVE stated that they would only agree to vacate and surrender their weapons if the police released their members